Then Mr. Donavan on the inside, Palmyra Court and Billy Ben, and they're all safely over the first. Spiders Well, who jumped it last, in fact, at the 21, and it's Londolozzi and Angelo Salvini matching strides as they come to this flight. Over the second, Londolozzi landed from Angelo Salvini. They're all safely over it. Mr. Donavan is up there in third, and then Baron Palace. Towards the outside is Western Sunset, and on the inner, Palmyra Court, and just behind them come Gallahad and Le Faubourg. You're welcome. Behind them, Warner for Sport, and over on the far side, Arabian Music and Rizzio and Polaro are now the two back markers. And it's Angelo Salvini and Londolozzi from Mr. Donavan, then Baron Palace and Palmyra Court, and then Pooh Yellow. Then You're Welcome and Gallahad and Le Faubourg. And going just a very fair gallop in this soaking ground at Cheltenham in the first race on the second day of the National Hunt Festival. And John Joe O'Neill with a marginal advantage now on Angelo Salvini from Londolozzi and Mr. Donavan. Behind them, Baron Palace and Western Sunset, also prominent. Angelo Salvini there from Mr. Donavan, Londolozzi, Palmyra Court, Western Sunset, Pooh Yellow, Baron Palace, Le Faubourg, Warner for Sport, Rizzio. You're welcome towards the far left of the picture, in fact not quite in picture at the moment. Coming down to the fourth, Angelo Salvini, the breast girth, and several with the breast girth, in the lead from Mr. Donavan, rider with the white cap, just in behind him. Comes Pooh Yellow, then over on the far side in the checks is Londolozzi, and then Palmyra Court, and then Western Sunset, and You're Welcome, and behind them Baron Palace and Gallagher and Warner for Sport and Le Faubourg, and behind them Arabian Music. And not more than 10 lengths between first and last at the moment, as Angelo Salvini still takes them along from Londolozzi and Mr. Donavan, and then Pooh Yellow, and then Western Sunset, and You're Welcome, and Palmyra Court, and then Baron Palace. Behind them Arabian Music, and behind Arabian Music is Gallagher. Then comes on the outside Polaro, on the inside of Polaro is Le Faubourg, then Warner for Sport, and then Topeka. Behind Topeka is Copper Watch, and now the back marker is Shalford Hill. Londolozzi still right up there with Angelo Salvini, Palmyra Court and Pooh Yellow and Mr. Donavan and You're Welcome are next as they jump the fifth of the 10 flights. Londolozzi on the inside of Angelo Salvini, then Mr. Donavan, Pooh Yellow, Palmyra Court, Baron Palace, You're Welcome, Western Sunset making ground, Le Faubourg, Gallagher, Direct Call is making ground, and upsides Direct Call is Spiders Well. As they come down towards the sixth flight, Angelo Salvini from Mr. Donavan on the far side, Londolozzi on the inside, Pooh Yellow right up with them, and You're Welcome is very close to them as well, and so is Palmyra Court, and then Western Sunset. Direct Call is making good significant progress towards the outside, but still Angelo Salvini from Mr. Donavan. Then on the outside comes You're Welcome. Behind You're Welcome, Palmyra Court, and then Direct Call still making progress. Behind Direct Call, Baron Palace making ground now with Spiders Well and Western Sunset, and four from home. It was Angelo Salvini who landed in the lead from Mr. Donavan. In third place is You're Welcome. Four is Direct Call still making ground, then Palmyra Court. Behind Palmyra Court is Western Sunset and Spiders Well making ground, and then Polaro, and then Billy Ben who's making ground as they run down the hill now with 3 flights left to jump in this 2.5-mile Sun Alliance Novices Hurdle. Angelo Salvini on the near side, Mr. Donavan between horses, as over on the far side is You're Welcome. Coming down now to the third last, and Direct Call is still making very good progress too, and Angelo Salvini is holding out distress signals now as Mr. Donavan just strikes the front 3 from home. Mr. Donavan landed in the lead there from You're Welcome. Behind You're Welcome, Direct Call, and then comes Angelo Salvini. Racing now towards the second last flight, it's Mr. Donavan from You're Welcome. Direct Call is still making ground. Angelo Salvini is dropping out a bit. Mr. Donavan landed in the lead from You're Welcome, who made a mistake. Direct Call and Spiders Well is now making very good progress. They're racing round the home turn now, and it's Mr. Donavan from Direct Call and Spiders Well. Spiders Well for England and the other two for Ireland as they race towards the final flight. Mr. Donavan on the near side, Spiders Well on the far side. Mr. Donavan for Ireland, Spiders Well for England as they jump the last, and it's Mr. Donavan on the near side, Spiders Well on the far side. There's very little between the two as they race into the closing stages. It's Mr. Donavan on the near side, Spiders Well on the far side. There's still very little between them as they race to the line. Mr. Donavan on the near side, Spiders Well on the far side. Mr. Donavan just getting the upper hand as they race to the line in a photo. Mr. Donavan has probably just won it from Spiders Well. Gallahad was third. Direct Call came next, and then Baron Palace and Arabian Music and Billy Ben, and behind them came Western Sunset. Then Angelo Salvini, who faded right out of it, and behind Angelo came Your Welcome, and then Warner of Sport and Topeka. Behind Topeka was Polaro, and then Palmyra Court, and behind Palmyra Court was Copper Watch, and then Londolozzi. And so the result of the Sun Alliance Novices Chase is first, number 11, Mr. Donavan, owned by Mr. John P. McManus, trained by Eddie O'Grady and ridden by Tommy Ryan. Second was number 17, Spiders Well, owned by Mr. D.L. O'Byrne, trained by Josh Gifford, ridden by Bob Champion. And third was number 8, Gallahad, owned by Mr. Charles S. Bird III, trained by Fulk Warwin and ridden by Bill Smith. Fourth